Dear Cranfield University colleagues, dear Cast Metal Federation's colleagues, dear friends and attendees, thank you very much for offering me and the WFO the opportunity to take part in this great CASTcon 2023. Though my first idea was to be in person with you, I'm really happy to be able to connect with you digitally. So many things changed in the last couple of years, last 3 years to our industry. So now the idea is to start making this question: how is our industry evolving? How is our industry doing in this moment? So, well, first of all, I think you all know very well the World Foundry Organization. We are the center of strategic foundry knowledge. We are focused in technical and strategic knowledge, and through our nearly 30 countries, we represent 90% of the global foundry production. So the first question is this the new normal for metal casting, for manufacturing? We have been thinking about coming back to the new normal for so many years. And is this the new one? Being in a perfect storm all the time. So, well, we need to realize that we are manufacturing, we are metal casting in a VUCA world. So this means that we are under volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And this makes our foundry companies evolve into companies with vision of understanding of these changes in the world and in the industry, with the clarity to explain these changes inside our own companies, and with the agility to adapt ourselves to what is changing in the world. So we are still a strategic manufacturing industry, but we are in an uncertain world for sure. We come from a pandemic world, we come from a pandemic situation, and some of the effects are still affecting our foundry companies. We can see that, for example, in the workforce, what we call the Great Resignation. It happened especially in Australia, in the United States, also in UK, in other parts of Europe. We have a big movement from people in our industry that change their business, and they did not come back. So it increased our difficulties for accessing skilled people, and this is still affecting our foundry companies. So now and in the future, and taking a look into that, the first thing is what are the CEOs, global CEOs talking about now in this moment? So they are concerned about so many things, but the most concerning ones, you can see those there in the slide. So the rise of these new digital technologies, these new disruptive digital technologies is one of those. Of course, they take a look into the actual situation in terms of economic and geopolitical risks. So these three are affecting not all of them, but also our foundry managers. So we are concerned about the effects of the geopolitical situation to our companies, and about the effect not only about these disruptive technologies, but also the disruption that is taking place in some of our clients, like automotive. Regarding the main concerns, we can highlight a couple of them because those are present all over the world in our foundry companies. The first one is regarding the access to new people. This is a big difficulty. This has been one of the biggest problems in the last years, and in so many countries, this is the first concern now. For example, in the United States, this is more important now that production, because this is working well, this is going very well, but they have a lack of access to new people. This is also affecting UK for sure, and other parts of Europe. And in the second part, we should mention the problem with profitability. We are not in a situation for our companies that are more affected by the stops of production. They have a good level of orders, but they are, in most of the cases, being with less profitability than 4, 5, 6 years ago. So this is really lacking the recovery in our industry. So let's take a look into how the global foundry companies and global foundry nations are producing. If we take a look into the biggest snapshot of how they are doing, we can see that there is no special change in terms of China being the first one. So they are still producing half the metal casting production, the metal casted parts all over the world. The only remarkable change there can be between Japan and Germany, because in the first part of the crisis, the pandemic crisis, Japan suffered a big reduction in production. So they shift the position with Germany, and now it happened in the contrary. So the last year, Japan performed quite well in terms of production, so they recovered the fourth place there in this top 5. We are not sure about the numbers in Russia. That's a difficulty. The reported numbers are the same in the last 7-8 years, so we are not sure about which can be that production. If those are what they are telling that they are producing, they could be inside this top 5 as the 4 or 5 producer in the world. Let's go one by one in this 5 quite quickly. Well, China, they have a very good market share in terms of the number of client industries they are serving. This has been a strength in the last years, and they maintain that after the crisis. This is something similar that was happening in the United States, for example, and also in India. They have a strong inner market also. So just, for example, in terms of their needs to replace casting equipment, we can see the figures there. They are talking about 18 billion every year in Chinese yuan, just in this inner market for replacements. They have been creating so many new foundries in the last 3 years. And this means that for these new ones, they are in a low level of digitalization. So they are lacking of IT, they are lacking of new developments into the new challenges. So this is a new problem for China. But in the other hand, they are inside the new 5-year plan. You know that in China, they have 5-year plans. They structure those plans also, including their industries, and they include normally the foundry industry inside this. So they have been setting goals for the industry, for the foundry industry inside this new plan. You can see there highlighted some of the key tasks that they have defined for being achieved in this new plan. Regarding India, they have maintained more or less the production. They had a reduced production in 2020, but they have recovered in the last couple of years. And what is remarkable is that regarding exports, they have been stabilizing the export of castings because they have been producing a lot for the inner market. The inner market in metal casting in India is really important. So they are dedicating a lot of their production, not only for exports, but also for serving the inner needs of the country. They want to have a focus on infrastructure. So they want to be the 3rd largest construction market. And they have been growing a lot into that direction in the last 3 years. Something they have been doing very well is that after the crisis and quite quickly, they try to position themselves as an alternative for the metal casting supply, especially in comparison with the risks that other nations can perceive from the supply from China. Regarding the United States and the production, well, we have been having good figures from this nation in the last 2 years. They have been forecasting an increase in casting sales for this couple of years. They will be doing the same for sure in 2023. And something also remarkable is that they have been investing a lot in new equipment. This investment, especially after the first months of the pandemic crisis, we saw that the companies there increased a lot the investment in digitalization. So they were trying to focus in being more efficient after this pandemic crisis. Regarding profitability, and we mentioned that, well, the curve here for this country is quite stable. So it means that they are doing better than in other countries that are suffering a lot and struggling with profitability. They maintain more or less quite a stable curve in this field. Regarding Japan, I mentioned before that Japan has been doing quite well in the last year. They have been recovering better than other countries because they suffered a lot in the first months of the crisis in 2020, and they were affected in 2021 because of this big drop. We can see there in the business climate graph that they are quite optimistic in terms of the near future of this production. The production has been increased, as I mentioned, and we can see that almost 65% of grade cast iron is focused in vehicles. So automotive, for sure, is still a very important client industry. So anything that happens in this industry is affecting the plants and is affecting and creating some new strategies in the business, in Foundry, in the different Foundry plants. And these are just another couple of graphs, including the gray and spherical cast iron and aluminum in this case. And we can see the production is quite stable in these last months and year. Regarding Germany, well, they suffer more than other countries in 2022 because of the energy cost and especially because of the lack of access to gas. So they recover part of the production in 2021, but the recovery in 2022 was slower because of these problems with energy and gas. We can see that even if there is an increase in production, they declare a slight reduction in the number of employees also during this period. Regarding the capacity utilization in this country, we can see that now they are clearly over 90% of these capacities, which is quite a high number. Regarding the foundry industry in your own country, in United Kingdom, well, you have faced so many challenges in these years: supply chain, these disruptions, the shortage in access also to labor. So what is been declared also there by the foundry managers is that you have two different challenges, quite specific for your business. One is that this resetting of the trading relationships, especially with the European Union, is affecting a lot the foundry business. So there is more complexity there for this business because of this. And for sure, being able to identify which is the proper strategy to make the transition towards a net zero future, this is something really important and affecting the business and putting an extra pressure into manufacturers, into foundry manufacturers. Regarding closures, there is nothing specific problematic in this last couple of years. On the other hand, we have the problem, the mentioned problem, accessing new people and maintaining the right people in the companies. This has been creating a big problem for UK foundry businesses, and this will be a problem in the near future for your own foundry industry. We talked about the energy costs and we talked about the availability for raw materials. It's true that in UK the risk level regarding the access to gas is different from the one in Germany, for example, but it still remains at a high level, the price for energy and for gas. In the other hand, there is an optimistic view about the knowledge and research and technology, especially because of the use of 3D core printing, for example, or simulation, and including these tools inside the production. And it seems that the bet on knowledge and research, it's still something really important for a foundry business in UK. So some summarizing thoughts there in production. Well, it's true that it's difficult to make a snapshot now in these days. We have been coping with this problem in the last couple of years. Every time we take a snapshot of the industry, it changes for us. So it's quite difficult. The new crisis with inflation, with the war in Ukraine, is also changing everything again. So it will be difficult in the future to have a proper snapshot like we were doing 5-6 years ago. The battle now for our companies is in profitability and, of course, in access to new people. So those are the new battlefields that we are in our sector. So knowledge, we mentioned knowledge a couple of times during the presentation. This is something important for our business industry. This is something that guides our business development. So if we take a look into the yearly scientific production, and we can take a look into the cast iron field, we see that there is a stable curve there. So the research activity in this field has been stabilizing in the last years. If we look, for example, to some hubs, knowledge hubs in Europe, we can see that Poland and Germany can constitute some of these hubs. In comparison, UK is doing quite well if we take a look into those figures. But what is remarkable here is that we can look into China again, and we can see that they have increased their presence there in the research from 19 to 25% of the total academic manuscript output. So this means that they are not only producing half of the metal casted parts in the world, they are also producing more and more of the research. So they are taking a leading role also in terms of the knowledge inside our industry. Another key point here is looking into the different funding sources. So if we look in so many countries, so many areas, we can see that these sources are quite diversified. So we have in several countries a lot of different sources for this research. If we look into China, we can see that they have two principal and main sources for this funding. This means that for China it's quite easy to develop a common strategy for research. And for the rest of the countries is more difficult because there are more sources and there is no common strategy between those. So once again, they have the ability to produce, they have the ability to make the research, and they have the ability to apply a common strategy to both production and research in this case. Regarding the trends in our industry, well, we are inside a really accelerated transition. So we are suffering an accelerated transition to our idea of what is an intelligent industry. Also regarding the foundry industry, this has been accelerated because of the pandemic. All the keys were already there, but we have suffered an acceleration. So we are facing this challenge of transforming our companies into intelligent foundry companies. So we really think that there are three transformation drivers, and those are the ones that we see in the biggest, not the biggest foundries, but the foundries that are really in the first position in this transition. So we can see that digitalization is for sure one of those. We see that these companies are doing great efforts trying to integrate all the parameters in the processes and to analyze all the information in all the data in the plants. Another one is flexibility, and this means the ability to adapt the processes to produce customized batches in the plants. And the third one, quite clear, is sustainability. And I know that we will be talking about this later on during this event, because this challenge for minimize the impact of our foundries in the environment is clearly driving not the future, but driving also the present of our foundries. So, well, some thoughts and some ideas regarding these challenges for the future. First one is that taking a look into the past, we see that some strengths show the way for our foundries. So what we have seen in the ones that have been coping better with this last crisis are diversification, the ability to declare foundry as an essential activity in their own countries. This is something, for example, quite clear in the United States. Of course, the national economic structure is affecting, and a couple of transitions, the stage on digitalization, the stage on digitalization from all the foundry companies, and the size and cooperation and the ability to cooperate more and more with other companies. These challenges that are accelerated by the crisis were already here, but we see now that they are more present in the actual situation of our plants. So we see the creation of new markets. We see the new supply chain as a result of the disruption occurred a couple of years ago. The advanced manufacturing, including digitalization, as we mentioned, and other technologies, and these transitions, the transition to e-mobility in automotive and the transition to a decarbonized industry that is affecting all our business. So coping with these challenges, some strategies are taking place, and we can mention some of them regarding the sharing, especially the sharing of knowledge and the sharing of some networks. We know that these challenges are bigger, and this means that we need new answers and a strong cooperation to cope with these ones. So in the WFO, what we have increased is the development of the international working groups. We have been focusing these working groups in trying to give answers to some of these common challenges that are taking place in our industry. Let me just mention one of those, because this is a working group that is being led in UK. This has been led by Dr. Pam Murrell, that I know she's there with you all. And this is the Training and Professional Development Working Group. This is an important group for us. This is connected with this concern of accessing new skilled people. They are trying to provide a benchmarking of the current provision in education and training for our industry, creating a database that will be shared with all the industry. They have been also doing some activities like webinars and other ones, and they have been taking part also in a new activity that we are putting into development this year, that is the first Foundry Young Researchers and Early Career Professionals Conference. This is an event that will be taking place on April 18th. It will be an online event with a program of 20 speakers. The 20 speakers are young professionals from our industry, and the idea is that the 3 best papers from this program will be invited for free to take part in GIFA in Düsseldorf, and they will be connecting with our industry there. Our idea is trying to give an answer also to this problem of connecting with the young professionals, trying to offer them a possibility to create their own network, to connect with the network in our industry. So we will be having this program focused in casting solutions, in digital foundry, and in circular economy and sustainability. And this will be, as mentioned, presented by some leading young industry professionals in this event. I won't stop here because it's just the mention of these topics. We have the possibility to exhibit in this event. So we have 4 or 5 companies exhibiting in this virtual area inside the platform. They will be connecting during the event with these young professionals, which is something, this is a goal that we wanted to achieve with this event. They will for sure having this visibility. And well, this registration is open for this event. I will be sharing with you through the organization of the event. I will be sharing with you this information. So the registration is open. You can check it. You can check the program. You can check the young authors and the program, the technical works that they will be presenting in this promising event. We have been working also in some industry indicators, trying to solve this problem that we have accessing this snapshot that I mentioned before. So we are planning quarterly meetings with major producers, trying to solve this situation. And regarding the knowledge we are offering, we are trying to focus in technical knowledge and strategic knowledge with the idea of helping companies trying to take the best decision. So in the recent months, in past year, for example, in October, we were able to celebrate our World Foundry Congress in Busan, in Korea, after 2 years without the possibility for doing this. You can see in the picture, we have had there a good UK delegation also there attending the event. We were able to celebrate the World Foundry Summit in New York. This was also postponed from 2020 to past year, and we had the possibility of gather there a good number of CEOs from our industry to talk about strategy during a couple of days in New York. So, well, some closing thoughts from my side. First is that we know that the situation is complicated in this moment, but we also know that our client industries will be growing. Some of them will be making a transition, so they will be growing, but also they will be changing. It will be our ability to be with them and to transform ourselves into the same direction the one that will be leading us to be able to produce what they need in the future. We know that the world will need more castings for sure. So some of the challenges we are coping with, we need to cooperate just to be able to face those together. And this is something we have seen in the last couple of years. The biggest companies, the ones that are doing better in this moment in the foundry industry, they realize that the challenges are really global. They have identified the common goals with other companies. They are identifying which is the knowledge they can share, and they are working together. So cooperation is an important and a key word for our future in the industry. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much again. Once again, a pleasure for me. I hope I can answer any question you have digitally or I hope in person there with you, and sooner than later, maybe next year in the next edition, I can be there with you to have some interesting discussions. Thank you very much.